like why?
Yes, we all rise.
Thank you, Lord, for the time to be part of the business that goes on in this community that helps us to move forward. We ask you to be with the decisions that we made this night, whether they're firmly made tonight or put to another meeting for a better decision. Help us in our personal lives away from here. In your name we pray. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge.
Alderman Rose.
Here.
Alderman Austin.
Here.
Here. Alderman McComb. Alderman Rivera. Alderman Glyden.
Here.
Here. Before we proceed, I want to ask for the agenda tonight, including one potential executive session to deal with real estate transfer. Are we short the number of aldermen needed to take action on anything?
We don't have anything requiring a supermajority.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to amend the agenda, but if it's not, we'll go. But first, we have to consider 26, and I'll entertain any questions or amendments to the minutes at this time. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That takes us into our committee and commission reports. Up first, we have Budget and Finance chaired by Mr. W.J. Pitt.
Thank you, Mayor. No items under old business. Under new business, we have consideration of TIF agreement reimbursements. So these are the amounts based on the agreements that were made with SJ Properties, Bill Gutman, Walnut Street Properties, and then Miranda's Loom. We put them before, correct, Sandra? And that they are the agreed upon amounts. So. And we would need a motion to make those reimbursements.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? That motion will carry. Next, we have consideration of accounts payable, accounts receivable, and payroll registers.
Just a quick. Budget. The only reason I'm asking is they spent a lot last month. I was probably within their budget.
I don't have that
Okay,
information
that's
with
fine.
me.
I don't have it with me.
Yeah. But I heavier than others.
It was
Might be just that time.
It could I was just wondering, because Barb's not here.
Yes, she is.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, aye? That motion will carry. And the next, financial reports by Evan Clinton.
And what something changes drastically, so and things don't. I think we're in good shape there. So that's all I have. So.
So,
I'll have my taxes by.
application, downtown tip, building. There's 3 of those. We have the historic Full House, owner Ray Hanna putting a roof on, and that would be reimbursement for the full amount that we reimbursed for, which is $8,000 on that, correct?
Must be half of that.
Would be half of the,
Would be half of the 14.
Yeah.
I do have a question about that. I know that she put part of her roof on before, and then it needs to be. Is there any limit on how many times they can use that?
so we talked about that, I think,
I can't remember talking about it.
we talked about that in the TIF committee the other day.
Oh, you guys.
Yeah, and, if it's a different project,
Yeah, I get that,
You
and
know.
I understand that, and I'm not saying that I don't think we should pay this. I just didn't know if we had any limitation on it. I couldn't remember.
I think currently we do.
Think about it or not.
I think,
As long as
based on.
we have money,
We see, do we need, I think if there was somebody that was splitting up a project for money, we would recognize that.
I think you're right. These are all hometown
And
people,
I don't think
basically.
it'd take a lot to just amend that whole TIF district anyway,
Yeah, oh, I get it.
So,
Thank you. It's something that just, because I knew that she had put part of her roof on and that this was a different project, but I didn't know how many times we could.
so do we need to vote
We
on
have
that
said that like you could only apply once a year.
once a year? I think we.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think that's specifically written in there, but I think that with the committee that.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
kind of what we're talking
I think that's reasonable. Yeah. Thank you.
Do we want to vote on these separately? Do we need to do that application? Yeah, so then would anybody like to make a motion to pass the application for the whole house?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry
And that was for $7,400.
$7,400 for it. The next is for Big Buddy Rentals, 1335 through 1341 Walnut Street. That is building on the corner of 14th Street where T&T Hair Salon is. We're putting all the new storefront windows in there. That is under the 16,000, so it'd be half of the 15,232.48.
76, 16, 24.
And then, so that's that one, we need motion to approve that application.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? That one will carry. That one is for 1904 Walnut Street, Ramsey, Ellen. That is a roof replacement and costs $30,000, so they would get the $8,000 maximum on that one. And that is corn fresh, right? So we need a motion to approve that application.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, aye? That motion will carry. No other items under new business. Is there any public comment under budget and finance?
Question.
Yes, sir.
What qualifies to be TIF?
It's an area set out within, when we created that TIF district. That one covers all of Walnut Street from and then down 19th Street to include the, where Crew is now in the old Kerwood building. Right, no public comment, other public comment, we can move out of budget.
That takes us to building and grounds, chaired by Mr. Mike Austin. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. Under building and grounds, we have under old business. We have with us again tonight, Mr. Wallace. So I'm going to turn it over to you. You gave us all new numbers tonight, so.
Mr. Austin and Board, what I have a request, if I could, the consideration of energy aggregation from the municipal accounts until after we consider the city contract. There's two different contracts. And I want to, I'm here tonight prepared to talk about the city program, and then I do want to make some comments about the municipal aggregation, which is a separate program for residential people. And they're all, in the case of Murphysboro, they're kind of coming up at the same time, so I can talk a little bit about the municipal aggregation as well. But first, I'd like to talk about just the city contract, which is what I'm prepared to talk about tonight fully.
That'd be great.
And that's what the prices you have are there too. First of all, to this particular handout that I gave you. By month, from the time that you've been a client with us, which was May of 2014, by month, it's probably not as important as the green bar over there. That's the percentage by month that the city has saved through aggregating their electricity. And this goes from May till current. The last page gives you an idea of exactly where you are to date. Your average monthly savings has been 23% underneath Ameren utility costs. And this shows you 144 months, 143, you were below Ameren, and over 1 month you were above Ameren. Out of that particular time, and you can see the percentage that changes, and that's due to the fluctuation. Your price stays the same rate, but those prices, percentages fluctuate based on what Ameren charges, or what charges the utility client from year to year. We can make that point before I talk about where we are today and the prices that I have given you today. You have two contracts. One is for the street lighting, separate, and the other one is for all municipal buildings, which is 34 utility accounts. That totals about 1.4 million kilowatts annually, and the price that we could use to compare, and I want to be very clear about this, is up in the upper right-hand corner of proposal. The Ameren price to compare is 11.310 cents. Now, that is a flow rate over 12 months. The months outside the summer months are usually somewhere in the 9.5 cent range. And then the 4 summer months, last year was 14.5 cents. So that's when you hear, as was mentioned earlier, WJ, people scream of bloody murder. In this case, the city is under a municipal contract, which we'll talk about in a minute, is not. And that's bid year to year under a long-term contract, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you can see the price. What's in the green is your term, 12, 18, 24, 36 month, based against the 11.3 flow 12-month average of Ameren. So the pricing here is, let's just say you went with a 12-month price at 9.8 cents, 9.876 cents, your savings would be $20,702 for a 12-month period. And you can see those, how they flow there, and then the percentage is in the middle. Anywhere from 12% down to 2% on the longer term. So it's pretty straightforward there. The quote presentation is in the middle of the page. Constellation Energy has the best pricing on 18, 24, and 36 month. Home Field Energy is best at the 12-month period.
I guess my one question I had was, we don't have to go the same term for the streetlights and the other accounts, do we?
No, they're two different contracts. Correct. Mr. Austin earlier that Direct Energy had the best pricing on both the streetlights and the city municipal buildings several weeks ago at the last city council meeting. They refused to bid this time, and I was trying to get an answer from them as to why. All I could find out is that it had to do with the solar arrays that they're putting up locations. I still am not sure why they decided not to bid on it at all, but I think they're kind of an anti-solar group anyway. So anything to do with solar, they really don't want to be too much involved with. So that's why there's no bid on from Direct Energy. But Home Field and Constellation both bid, and prices are here. So that's to consider for the city municipal buildings, 34 accounts. The city lights, of course, they don't have the same use or the same pressure on the system. So basically, they're just lights, and they don't have a lot of pressure on the use off the grid because it's a lot less energy for the grid to support. You can see here the same thing. We got 4 different term bids, 12 through 36 months, and Direct Energy was the best on all 4 terms. And you can see the savings are correlated there in green. Now the price to compare there, their street light program is 8.6 cents. So you can see the 6.6 or 6.9 cents. It's pretty substantially lower. So those are the prices we got. These kind of came hot off the press at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I think that's probably why I didn't get an answer back from Direct Energy about why they didn't bid on the city service, on the city buildings, municipal buildings.
But they did.
And I'm wondering why that is. But all I could discern, basically all I heard, they had was the solar arrays that you got productive initiate, or have initiated in some cases. I think in some cases you had that. Some of that not online. So those are the proposal prices for the city, and this is like I said, the 34 accounts. Buildings and the street light count by itself. But yes, you do not have to choose the same term for either one of those. They're all going to show some savings. It just depends on how long a term that you're interested in contracting for.
I would make a motion if anything else.
Okay, well, hold on. Anything else?
Not for the city.
Okay. Mayor, would you like to interject anything here?
Well, I would just say that after looking at these, it would seem that the 2 that I would suggest to be the Constellation for 24 months and the Direct Energy for 18 months. I think those are the 2 best prices. You know, of course, we could go a longer term, I guess, but it would be a little bit of a higher rate. So, I mean, that would be my suggestion, Constellation at 24 and Direct at 18.
All right, now, WJ, what was your motion?
That was going to be my motion.
Oh, okay. So we have for the city facility, Constellation, and a motion for the streetlights for 18 months for Direct Energy. Is there any other questions from the council? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, council.
Municipal aggregation, which can be conflated with the contract we just accepted for the city. Municipal aggregation we do throughout Southern Illinois. We have roughly 110 communities participate. We combine those and take those to market with pricing. The contract language is for a long period of time. In this case, I think the city contract here expires in 28. And I believe there was a 5-year term. Those prices are negotiated at different times during the course of that contract period. And I alluded to earlier, the mayor's not seen it yet, I guess, but we had a letter that went out today to all the mayors and city officials. Those communities, 110 communities.
That current one's with Home Field, is that?
That was Home Field Energy, right. Home Field was the contract holder for that. They've given us some assurances that you're coming up in the next bid process, which is now, that the price will be lowered a little bit. We also know Ameren's price is going to be higher, so there'll be a little bit of flip of where we are right now. Currently, the city is more than the Ameren rate. And this is where, this is where the consternation comes from, and we certainly understand that a lot of that's out. It has to do. We're going to get a set base price, which we've had before, and then a product called capacity, which changes yearly, is added to that for the rate. And when capacity charges go up, which they are currently going up, and probably will continue to in at least the near future, until we get some things lined out about data centers and things like that, you're going to find that that fluctuates a little wildly. So we started out with the original contract for the municipal aggregation at lower than Ameren costs. And then when those prices were negotiated every year, that price kept creeping up. And over the last 12-month cycle, this is when it's been upside down. Again, they're telling us that we're going to be on the right side of this coming up. This is the contract, which we're taking on out so that it is a 28 contract period. So there's the issue there about where you want to be as a community on with the community called municipal aggregation for the residential people of the city. You have the option to opt out, of course. You can do that now, so you won't be included in that. However, you do have to take into consideration that you're going to be subject, when your residential customers go back to Ameren, that the price will fluctuate, especially in the summer. 14.5 cents for 4 months last summer, probably something more than that this year. So if people can bite the bullet and take, and take the price for the summertime and not have an even price throughout the course of the year, that's a consideration. But overall, the price the last 12 months, or roughly 12 months, has been slightly higher. I mean, when I say higher, in my world, it's tenths and hundreds of cents. So it's probably been a couple of tenths higher than what Ameren's base rate is.
And that's,
they call you.
we are able to opt out of that per account
You are.
every year annually as a resident, right?
You are. And the issue I have right now is because, this is kind of creeping up on us. We have till Friday to have written notice from the city whether they want to stay in the program or not.
I mean, as an individual resident, you're able
You
to
can
opt out.
Months, aren't you?
Yes,
correct.
Yes.
So you go back. Ameren basically captures you and has you for 12 months.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned 27. What date is, or at what time does, in the month of May, does this contract expire? Home field.
I'd have to look.
But
As we speak. So,
yeah, because it's somebody, or maybe it was Jordan, I don't remember.
yeah.
Yeah, it said that the home field contract expires in May.
Yes.
Yeah,
Of this year.
of this year,
But you said something about,
27.
I had 28 written down.
Yeah.
Do
28.
I don't understand that.
With years, service, and then the price is negotiated annually.
Okay,
So if we were to opt out of this, it would be left to them to negotiate who supplies their energy?
Well, correct.
Ameren would,
I mean, there's no
Okay.
story. But if Field or Constellation or anybody else could contact any,
They'll get probably likely they'll get contacted by another broker who will be representing suppliers as do I.
But didn't we just say that if they opt out and they get on Ameren's grid, then they're there for 12 months?
Correct.
Yeah. So
If you're still under contract, but you have the option, the city has the option to get out of this program
yeah,
by Friday.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Commercial. The only way that we do residential service is through municipal aggregation, meaning city council, city approval. And we have, like I said, we have about 110 counties or cities currently in our program. So they're all getting the same letter at the same time, and they all have the same options.
And I get the same emails at the same time.
Yes, please.
if we opt out as a city, will it immediately for the resident go to Ameren?
With the tax billing side.
Yeah. That the resident doesn't have to do anything.
Correct.
And if they want to stay with home field, they have that option or not? All right, thank you.
Unless they want to do it individually.
Yeah.
It is a lot of moving parts to that, and, over time, we've been doing municipal aggregation for a number of years. We've always been on the right side of this particular pricing. It's just been, recently that we've gotten upside down on it, and of course, people notice it right away, but it's something that can be discontinued by the city as your.
I got a question too. I know, at different times of the year, is that right? The individual residents, or is there a certain time of year where they have?
There's a certain time of the year when that happens, yeah. No, now.
It's right, it's now.
It's in May,
Okay.
yeah. So everybody expires at the same time.
I didn't-
Well, I think it happens in the market every year. It happens at the end of April. So a lot of it has to do with timing. It's maybe bad timing for the city of Murphysboro because at the time that their product, that's when the capacity charges come in on a capacity auction every year annually through Ameren. And of course, when Ameren raises their capacity charges, that filters through the entire market. So all the other suppliers have that option as well, and generally do, but we can still stay below almost always, except, everyone, 90% of the time, let's say, stay below the utility rate.
So if
Over time, we just got caught in that time period where the price, it was just, but it was noticeable.
if anyone has opted out of the home field package and are currently under Ameren, they can now opt back into home field, right? If they have
Only if we
been,
have renewed the contract.
that's what,
The way to, when they opt out, they only opt out for 12 months. and they're automatically renewed under that contract. At the end of that 12 months, at the end of that 12 months.
You work now, because that's one of Home Field's
Tradition.
concessions, is not to make people opt out again.
Okay. So that new.
Well, that Mayor,
So traditionally that's been, but that's one of the changes that they're wanting to make.
that's correct, is, people get the cards every year and wonder, what am I doing this again for? So that's one of the things they're trying to explain. But again, the city has the option to, not to participate. And, I imagine we'll have some other cities that will have a strong consideration of all those lines as well. So it's just what you think is probably best for the community.
So right now, it looks like it would be home field that would be,
It'll be interested in doing this.
but we don't do much lower than Ameren right now.
We don't. We're looking at, and I think the email does indicate somewhere around 11 cents, which is 7/10 or 8/10 of a cent less. But however, at the same time, Ameren's rates are base rates are expected to go up, and that would be next 8 weeks.
Mayor?
So it's kind of clear as I could about what the options are.
I mean, it's confusing. Me, to me, it's always like we give our citizens more options this way than just having to go with the Ameren price. At least they can choose to go with the Ameren if they want to, and if they want to stay within this program that we signed a contract with, they can.
Yeah, there's no pressure on Aaron to try to be cheap.
No, negotiate a price with them next year,
Well, it seems to me that the stability of the aggregation is of value when looking at the amount of power that is being consumed and likely going to increase in consumption from data centers, et cetera, that, we're talking about. Legislation for, the same nuclear reactors they use on nuclear submarines to be used to operate various high consumption things. And so I, last year was pretty damn, be cognizant of what the trend's going to be, because it didn't look like the trend was our friend staying in the aggregation at one point. But, I guess to bottom line is this, do I need, I know in the past there's been authorizations or whatever given to me to act upon this because of the timing situation of it. So what is the true timing, Bruce, in terms of getting in or getting out, and what's that look like?
I'll have to have a written request Friday if you want to opt out.
All right, well, but there's really no way for me to know whether that's a good idea or not by Friday.
Probably not for another 4 or 5 weeks, then we'll really know after the capacity auction.
So I gotta jump off the high dive without knowing how much water's in the pool. Not much. All right.
That's a good analogy. That's good. Well, the lot of communities that are in our program are going to feel the same. It just depends on how close attention they pay to the utility bills, I guess.
Well, I mean, as much as I was against it 6, 8 months ago, a year ago, if I was putting my, $100 down, which I guess I do because I pay my own electric bill, I would probably stay in the aggregation. That's my gut feeling.
I thought so. We can always put out, as a resident, when, what that opt-out timing is?
Information
I mean, if
pretty
we,
shortly, in the next couple of weeks.
that'll be before the prices come out too.
which comes out every end of every April. And then Anna will publish their results.
I'm gonna start doing loans and tell people what the rate is at.
Just to the public? I mean, that's,
The delivery?
No,
Cameron said
Cameron's
that.
still,
and they change that frequently. Go up, your overall bill goes up. And there's nothing, and when I get those questions, I say, well, you have a negotiated price, and this is the price for the actual energy. Everything else is subject to change.
if someone has already opted out, and you may have answered this already, I'm sorry. If someone has already opted out and we do go ahead and go with home field again as an aggregation for the resident, will they have to opt out again?
No. Correct, it's not decided. That's correct.
So
But
there is a chance they will still have to opt out once again, if they want.
stand by what they've offered. But there's certainly a chance that they'll, retract that and say, no, you're gonna have to opt out again. I can't tell you that today.
Have they projected a cost for kilowatt? Same as what it is now.
It's 11.7 right now.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge savings. But like I said earlier, at the same time, after the capacity auction adds cost to Ameren delivery, their cost is going to be going up as well. So a little bit larger than it is now, which is about 0.4 cents, I think, 3 or 4 cents of a cent difference for a month. I think it's a change.
Well, as much as I'd like to have another 45 minutes on municipal aggregation, probably.
I'm waiting on a motion.
It's
Yeah, I don't think we can make a motion on the,
Just staying in.
I don't see any other path forward.
Well, Mr. Ross, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time, and I know that you, as we said earlier, you've been on a hot seat all day, so thank you. All right, with that being said, is there any public comments on building and grounds? I would like into
I unlocked it for him at 6:30 this morning.
what
And I think, Pat, you may have unlocked it for him a little bit later on in the day so they could get back.
It said error on the inverter when I went in and looked at it, so I never seen him again after that.
All right, well, he called, and whenever I tried calling him back, he didn't answer, so thank you guys for the update. Is there? Hearing none, Mayor, we can move out of building and grounds. Thank you.
Relations chaired by Ms. Curry Witzman. In her absence, I'll handle these items. We don't have any business. Item. Thing that had been on my things to do, a carryover from the Eagle Scout project that had been presented, but I guess for whatever reasons it never really come to fruition. And at the time that was presented, I thought it was a good idea, but then just came that there is a American flag retirement drop box at the Elks Lodge on Shoemaker. And so I don't know that this is really necessary. I would like to maybe use my Facebook page or whatever to help just promote their service. I just didn't know that existed. I may still look for some kind of, cardboard we can maybe put in the lobby of the Dom building, but I don't know that I need to spend $450 or $550 on one if there's already one.
Collect them up there for people and take them down to the.
Right. Yes, Mr. Evans?
There's one inside the courthouse too.
There is?
Mhm.
I didn't realize that either. It's a good thing I put this on the agenda. I learned all kinds of things.
There's one. It's really nice looking.
Is there?
It might be something you want.
Yeah. All right, so I'm just going to sort of move on from that item. Learned about those other locations. Up next, we have the consideration of a 5K run relay for life for Saturday, May the 30th, 2026. We have the form. I don't know if there's any questions or concerns about it at this time.
They talked with.
Chiefs, anybody?
I haven't been contacted.
Yeah, nothing's been seen.
Okay. Sandra, you're not really involved here anymore, are you, Jamie?
No, but this form typically doesn't get signed off on like the street closure one.
They've had the same route for years.
Can we make them approve it contingent upon them discussing the route with somebody?
It looks like the same thing we've done many, many
Yeah,
times.
it's discussing the route, so I don't want to wait on it.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
All right. Opposed, motion carries. Up next, we have a consideration of a street closure request. And they're asking for North 13th Street, the area there where the Apple Festival Crafts Display will be. This is, looks like been approved by the various chiefs and street foremen. Any questions on that? Entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
All of you signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Those are the items under community relations. Any public comment?
Public relations. To assist in the theft of my shed by Murphysboro Police Department.
Well, I know that you and I have spoke about
We, because they
I really think that the best way to handle it at this point, because, you know, If you would, please address your comments to me. Okay. Well, I'm not going to be able to essentially settle the matter before the council here this evening. I don't have an item on the agenda to pay you restitution or anything along those lines. You know, you and I have met, and I have tried to research the situation, and I guess the best way for me to describe it is there's conflicting information that I receive from people in the courthouse and others comparatively to what you say. And I think really the only way, respectfully, and respecting your ability to give public comment here, is for you to seek counsel with your attorney and set forth what your demands are and present them to our city attorney for consideration. I really think that's the only.
Mr.
Well, you're, just to be clear, your car was repossessed by. Hey, Eugene. Comment, and I don't. Thank you. All right, is there any other public comment under community relations? Let's put that in the record as well. Hearing none, we'll move into public improvement, chaired by Mr. Don Black. Don?
Thank you, sir. Under the consideration of an ordinance for battery energy storage systems. In your packet, you had the rewrite of this proposed ordinance. I do need to mention that we need to, under Section 6-8-6B, we need to delete item number 3 and item number 5 because they are redundant. There are 24 descriptions listed here, and 2 of them are redundant, so we do need to delete those 2.
What number is
Say that again.
Delete number 3 and number 5.
Under B.
Under B.
Yeah.
Any questions or
guess I would just say that I know that this ordinance has been drafted with the help of Charlie Iser, as well as some people that have been looking to have these storage units developed, Richard Blake, and I appreciate their work on it very much. Richard, do you have anything that you want to share just in summation of the ordinance?
Last meeting, this was looked at. Working with Charlie, we've just gone through and done some formatting to match it with the numbering of our city code the way it is now, so it can be put in as a part of that code and match our. We went through and removed. Good catch by Don to catch that. Those are two items that appear twice under that same section. So the distinction between what would be a Tier 1 battery energy storage system and a Tier 2 battery energy storage system that's based on its capacity. A Tier zoning district in the city still requires if it reaches a capacity in the agricultural district or the industrial district, still requires approval by the zoning board of appeals. So I know Charlie has included requirements for setbacks, for sound levels, and I'm concerned with these systems.
Charlie, anything?
Thanks for Richard and Don, because reading this and writing it and rereading and writing it's a lot, so they catch my oversight on it, so thanks to them.
I need a motion to approve this proposed ordinance. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you very much. There is no new business tonight. Yes.
In your, the batteries you have, you see, the nearest point of occupied dwelling. So can you define an occupied dwelling? I mean, because where I'm at, the only thing I have next to me is Mr. Schuldemo's building that he has that he stores stuff in. I don't know, people do occupy that occasionally, but it's not, they're not living there. This is the Grover Street property. The rest of the Douglas School Art Place property is surrounding that whole other area. So that is my concern, is that, you know, and I put in the permit to have a special use permit, and I gave that Friday to Leandra, and then
Richard, do you have any guidance on what an occupied dwelling means? Do you feel like maybe that would need to be amended to residential dwelling, or does that?
I mean, you also do have the occupied community building too, on the next, under.
Because there certainly is a different nature between a storage unit and a single family home.
I'm looking for
dwelling indicate.
residents, or excuse me, a non-participating residence. I'm taking dwelling to mean a residence, not to be I know what Mr. Shaw says, it's not a dwelling.
Right.
That is a commercial building that he uses.
Yeah, it's a storage. Keeps his vans and boats and other equipment and stuff. I mean, I know he'd like to try to get his building changed and have his workshop down there. All up to you guys, and move away from his 14th Street shop. So, imagine. I don't know.
Martin's welcome to come to the meetings.
That's true. Yes, you did.
Okay.
You did.
Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, that takes us to Public Works, Chair by Mr. Gary McComb. In his absence, I'll handle these items under old business. We have nothing under new business. We have consideration of bids, 2026 oil and chip program. And, Harold?
Yes, we did take bids for the oil and chipping that this year, and had one bid, Illini Asphalt, which really is all we ever have. And their bid amount was $33,718.75, which is a little over 1.6% less than our estimate. So I think we do recommend awarding and accepting that.
Is there a motion to approve the,
I have a question about sealing the seal coat. Where do we have aggregate in the,
No, it's, I mean,
in
essentially,
the oil and chip?
essentially the first one, bituminous materials is oil, and the second one is chip. So that's where they come up with oil and chip. We did that separately.
But it says seal coat aggregate.
Yeah,
Okay,
that goes over the oil.
but we're not talking about aggregate kind of concrete that you're sealing.
No.
Okay.
No, this is just basically a fine rock. that
Okay, gotcha.
Goes over the
Thank
oil.
you. I make a motion.
second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Up next, we have a consideration of a resolution and engineering services agreement for the Oak Street roadway improvement project. This is the, budgeted some funds for. Harold, anything to note on this before we?
No, I mean, did find out today that there is a stockpile of bricks that we're going to investigate whether we can reuse that, or whether a contractor thinks they can reuse that today, so.
And Gary Miller has
Yes.
access to that.
Yes, I was told Gary, get a hold of Gary, he's going to get a hold of me, so.
City owned those bricks?
I guess technically Mike Jones
I
is a
would say
state
Mike
owns
Jones
those
has
bricks.
had them for a long time.
It's crazy how many people pay for bricks.
Yeah.
I just have a comment. I'm absolutely thrilled that we put this in the budget and that we're doing this. And we're, you know, it all has to be done. And I can't tell you how thankful I am as alderman in that historic preservation area that we are doing that. That this street from on Oak from 17th to 16th, that we are proposing that we do, and pretty much that's what we're doing, is not the worst.
Yeah, that's really from
It's
16th
Oak
to
from
15th.
17th to 16th to
I
15th.
get
maybe.
confused, but the one in front of the old Windsor house there.
Yeah, that's between maybe 16th and 15th.
Yeah.
I will tell you that 15th from Spruce to Bobby Alexander's house is probably a heck of a lot worse than what that is in front of Rachel's house. But I'm not complaining, don't get me wrong, I'm thrilled we're doing anything with that. But I think that when we do this next time, when we are re-budgeting, we really need to walk it, you and me and Harold. Harold and I walked this before. I have a husband that has Alzheimer's, and he even goes, I think we should put it in there for ever and ever, but please, let's walk it next time and decide some of the worst areas.
Sure, absolutely.
What do you think, Harold?
That's fine, and that's, the price on the resolution is $75,000, and I think the actual construction is $50,000, but,
Yeah.
we may get into, any of those areas, we may get into some bad base. I mean, you just really don't know what you're gonna get into
I mean,
there.
they're old, honey. It's, but thank you for ensuring that we did get that in the budget this year. I'm thrilled to death, and I'm sure every resident in that area is thrilled to see anything improved on those streets.
Well, I consider it kind of a test strip.
Yeah, I do.
and I don't have any reason to believe we won't get good quality, but we'll look at it, see what the ultimate product we get, and then determine some other.
Yeah, I thank you, by the way, for
Absolutely.
doing that.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
I would make that motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify. Motion. Next, we have the consideration of an engineering services agreement for a sanitary sewer replacement project at 15 Poplar Street. This particular project, one where I think we have a variety of funding options. Carol, executive summary, please.
Sure, this is, we've been talking, originally this project started out as fix the intersection. TV work before that was done, and all the sewer in that area needs to be replaced, as we've been finding as more we get into. But so this, right now, this project is in the EPA loan program. There are other possible avenues to pursue to fund it, either through DCEO, which is, I think they're finally back in grant. Those are due in August, but again, all the design has to be done by then. So we are also thinking about DRA, the SIF program, which is, they had a grant, but now it's been lowered to $1 million. So, but it still would fit this.
So we're agreed to move forward with some of the additional engineering needed, but we're still sort of looking at some
Yes,
financing.
I mean, really, before you do anything, even with EPA, the engineering agreement has to be passed, which gives us permission, or, gives you an avenue to recoup some of those charges after that is passed. So that's the first thing that needs to be done.
I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Lastly, I had placed on the agenda consideration of road improvements to South Williams Street. South Williams from Old 13 to New 13 has been a consistent complaint that I've received from residents. It is, in terms of traffic count, one of the highest traffic count streets in the entire city, because it serves as that go-between thoroughfares. Discussed this morning, the amount available in our motor fuel tax account versus the engineer to do some work and improvements there of about $584,000. If we were to move forward with it, would take our motor fuel account down to $350,000 after some more money gets reimbursed from some other grants that we put money out for and not receive back, but we expect to get back this year. I think we should do it, flip it, or ignore, the cautious nature of it. I don't know if we've ever taken a motor fuel account down that far. It needs to be fixed.
Would there be a way to do a couple sections of it without having to do from New?
Oh, yeah, we can certainly phase the project. I've not looked at it in that way, so I don't know which, end would be the better end to do. But
Seems worse toward, the most southern end seems worse.
Down there's bad and
Yeah.
I think IDOT is planning on letting that section down there where carriage used to be.
I say, doesn't IDOT
this
also
fall.
have some of
Well,
that?
no, they don't claim very much there. So
They do not. I've had to research all that, and the city and Darren and his crew did a great job. They were the ones that reconstructed all of that approach down there. So it is city maintenance, all the way to the edge of pavement at Old 13.
Okay. That's a shame.
Harold, with this, the other DRA grant is like $500,000 for infrastructure, this might fit.
And we could, go for. I mean, there's various things. I mean, DRA has one under $1 million, but I think that the SIF grant is something that's community improvement funds, but there is another program that they have
I think it's
also.
up to 500,000.
Yeah, I think it's around 500.
I mean, I agree with you. I travel a lot. And
Me too.
there's traffic on the road runs, and it's something that if we do, people will see that something's done, it's but
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Old shop, we're just kicking it down the road because we're going to, a part is the mobilization. So if we, 3 different sections, we're going to mobilize 3 different times. So the total cost is going to be, it makes more sense to do it all at one time than it does to
I agree with you.
do it.
I agree with that.
I think the estimate went up 50,000 from the estimate we did last year. I mean, that's how oil prices, of course, drive a little bit of this. And those prices aren't going to get any cheaper.
And I guess my thought to a certain portion of it wasn't a phase comment anyway. It was if there's 200 feet that down needs to another 600 feet in the middle doesn't, can we do it? That was a question. I don't know if that's something that can be done. You have to, resurface the whole.
Yeah, I don't know if we really looked at it that way, Jay, but.
And I just a question, if that's possible, if that has cost, I don't think we should do it that way. It's
Well,
but there are things that are not,
yeah, and sometimes those seams,
Yeah, get bad faster when you
Right.
redo them,
Well, obviously, I can't make a motion or vote, but I think this is a project that needs to be done. If the council would like us to research a phased approach, I'm, not deaf to that, but I would entertain a motion to move forward with the whole thing if there is one to be had.
I mean, the motion would be just to get engineering,
Right.
Could we have Scott's opinion here?
No doubt. Now, is that entire, aren't there some that?
Oh, sure, we spend motor fuel money on lots of stuff outside the city limits.
Oh, okay.
From Brick Road to Old 13. I'll have to argue on that, because I have fought with everybody in the township to the state about that.
We've been beaten up by the state on that.
Right. So the city has no legal claim to the street in between.
Who owns it?
It's a county.
It would,
Because we have refer to MPS 5.
Well,
All those people think they're in Ward 1, whether they're.
we have 2 gas stations that a lot of motor fuel tax revenue. And probably half the people got there, but it's not, city limits, yet we maintain it. So, I probably, there's some sort of reverse adverse possession that's went on, just there are years of
we maintained it for at least 20 years,
At least, yeah.
Exactly. I don't want to move too fast, but I also don't want to, as Pat Riley once said, have paralysis by analysis, so.
And we're not writing a check today, we can say we can move forward with it.
I would like to see, and I could drive it, take a little bit closer look at it too, and keep this on the agenda for the next meeting, so we can take a finer point at it and see if there are sections that truly don't need to be replaced. We shouldn't just, we don't have to spend. So I would like next meeting, and then hopefully we can have a little bit of information. All right, is there any public comment on Public Works? John Irvis.
New business, discussion. Do you have that put on?
I did. I see all the time, particularly the Vail scooter stop scooters around town, and in a sense, we have bicycles on many of these same roads, and I just have seen it so much that should we not have in regards to these things, because when you see them being driven, off of Business Highway 13 up there, coming into town under the viaduct, I mean, that's a 50-mile-an-hour road, and here I've got somebody that's 13 years old on a Vail scooter coming into town.
To be fair, I used to ride one when I was 13
Well,
years old.
we have to have some sort of regulation on these, but we regulate side by safe in a sense than these other bikes. Chief handed me a print off. Is this from state?
Yeah, those are the state laws, and as you'll see, there's like 7 different categories of these.
Yeah.
You've got a 50cc okay to ride here, but not there, and then you got 3 classes of the e-bikes. So it's kind of, you've got your 50 cc's to 149, and there's a Class L, and 150 cc's over is a Class M regular motorcycle. So there's just so many ones. We just need to decide what we want to do with which ones, and go with whatever we want to do with it, because like the little scooter you're talking about, they're not supposed to ride those on the sidewalks, not supposed to ride them on the road.
Dangerous to still switch from the side.
Yeah, so it's something to look at. Richard, I'll get you a copy of this too, what I just gave the mayor, so you can look at it.
Now, are they getting those from Carbondale?
No, those are usually
It's just like,
I don't think it's that company.
I've seen one.
I think now they've got it to where they shut off before you get here.
Yeah, so I think.
There's a pile of them. Leaving the house this evening to come to this meeting, I glanced to my right, going south on 20th Street, one of these e-scooters, and right along with him was one of these one-wheel thing the guy was on. I don't know how in the world they do it, but they do it. But neither one of them paid any attention to traffic or anything. They were talking to each other and swerving, but it's...
Don't stop at stop signs.
Well, there was no stop sign there, but there was in the next block. But it just makes you nervous. Because when you're riding, you are engaged in what you're doing. When you're on an electric scooter, you're just breezing along. You're not pumping your legs. You're not really doing steering. I mean, they're steering, but anyway, it's just... accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, I think we've been lucky, like Don's getting at right there, that we haven't had a serious accident with a pedestrian on one of these that causes that problem. So I think it's a good time to look at it and try to figure out where we want to go with each classification of them.
Well, review it, chief, and then if, and let's maybe bring this back in a month or so, and we can talk about it and see where we want to go with it.
Will, can you send that out for the next meeting? Or can we get a copy of that, Chief?
Send this out if you could, to the council.
And Richard's gonna look at it also.
All right, thank you. Ammunition listing as surplus. List in our packet. Interesting ammunition. What's this?
So you notice you've got 40 cals and 45s, and then the 30-06, 38 special. These are just ammunition that we've had that instead of just holding on to, look to do surplus and get some money so we can put it back in to get regular ammunition for.
So we have to declare it surplus where you can sell it basically.
Correct.
Where do
We
Hey,
can,
Penny,
we
it'll
can
be
do it.
ammunition there.
Yeah, ammunition or weapons if
Okay.
we had, so.
I make that motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. And final consideration of orders prohibiting the retail sale and use, possession, and distribution of delivery of illicit THC products. Proposed ordinance of the materials. Is that
Chief?
Yeah, what this basically is, it's another loophole. Cannabis type style illicit drug along that has the psychotic effects to it. And what it's found out is, the places that we have that are selling this stuff, there's no regulation on it until we would do our own city ordinance. We've had people calling and complaining that, some of their kids have got a hold of this stuff, and then we've had adults because it's generated, a lot of it is generated, it's appears to be metal until you heat it up. Once you burn it and heat it up, then you get the psychotic effects that it releases, and we've had people go in the emergency room for taking these kind of things and smoking it and whatnot. So we got with Richard and come up with this a little while back, and it's kind of an extension of the one that we did a month ago that was more for the type controlled substance type synthetics.
Yes, the DPV.
Yeah, this is more surrounds the THC, the cannabis products that are also having the psychotic effects, so.
Is there a motion to approve the ordinance? So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Passes. Public comment on public safety?
Takes the personnel chair by Ms. Barbara Hughes.
New business, and is there any public comment on personnel? Any personnel?
All right, that takes us to the mayor's report and consideration of a pair of appointments to the Sally Road Public Library. Reiner. He is here with us this evening. We appreciate your willingness to serve. And Mr. Hill, who is not in attendance, but who I have met with, and I believe to be well qualified and serve the library well also.
Comment?
Yes, sir.
We served on the board at one time together.
Shirley was on the board previously, and so I think her experience will be helpful. Is there a motion to approve those?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Carries. With that, we'll go to council member requests. So we'll miss you.
no request, but I just want to remind everyone that the 6th Street Craft Fair or Art Festival is the 26th. In that historic preservation area. It's always a wonderful, artistic, they have a lot of good artists that bring, that you don't see everywhere. So, I'm praying for no rain that day.
Amen. Amen. All right, Mr. Runge?
I just want to thank the mayor for going out on social media and promoting the town the way he has, and taking he has and handles them very professionally, and I don't know. And the improvements in the way things are going, so I just wanted to thank you for taking the bullets for us.
Well, thank you, Rick, I appreciate it. Public comment on John's earlier, but in any case, I thank you very much, Rick, thank you. Mr. Austin?
And getting that. And the other our cemetery meeting is going to be on the 28th, not the 21st. It'll be at 10 o'clock building. That next one. So thank you all for your work on that up to this point. And
28th of this month.
10 o'clock. So, yeah, so that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mom. Ms. Jackson?
Nothing, thank you, Mayor.
I should have mentioned this earlier. I'll just want to say thank you to the SIU photo group that was in town weekend. Good event on Sunday at Fay. Come out of there, it was very good. I heard nothing but positive feedback from the departments that had folks with them, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes.
We saw a couple of them on Saturday.
Yeah, it went good. Mr. Pittman?
Nothing, thank you.
The farmer's market, movement to
Yes.
most people seems to be very.
I think it's going to be a good location, good time.
Yeah, I'll talk to Susan about money for William Street, I think. We'll work on that.
Sure.
All right. Mr. Gladden?
Nothing tonight, sir.
All right. That takes me to department head request, Attorney Blake.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Evans?
Nothing, sir.
All right.
Yeah. The shelter for the animals. We've taken several dogs out there, I think, over the last couple of weeks.
I know, but you meant to say Jackson County.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. What we see the gauge. So yeah, it's been pretty active this week. I mean, there's been one dog after another out there running around. Mark was on vacation and had to come in today and deal with one, so yeah. So we'll see how the agreement goes.
It's nice to see finally.
See how it runs, and we're actually losing one of our dispatchers, Steve Graffler. He's taken animal control position for Jackson County. 24th will be his last day. We'll be starting over there the following Monday.
All right. Well, I think he's happy for that opportunity.
Yeah, he's ready to kind of get out and get some silence out of the dispatch center over there with all the calls. So he's quiet time, I think, in that truck.
We start giving them our money and then they take our people.
Mr. Van Leer. That's a big hit. Mr. Sheffer.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Mr. Heiser.
Nothing.
Pat.
I don't have anything.
Aaron.
Like I told you today, I got word from Tamron that they have made new patch. We're gonna finish up a sidewalk program over by the old Dealey's Florist, and then you'll see every truck will have it in it, trying to get all the holes taken care of, because what we've had, we can put in, and the next day it's gone, so we're gonna start working on it. Just wanted to let everybody know we're gonna start trying to get every one of them taken care of.
Thank you. It's that time. We need to have a pothole festival.
It's up 8th Street.
All right, we do need to have an executive session. I'll call a 5-minute recess and